Eleison Comments. By His Excellency Bishop Richard Williamson. Number DCLI, 651. January 4, 2020. Professor Drexel, I. Bless the souls being tried that persevere. Especially when the trials are most severe. As the crisis of church and world continues relentlessly from one year to the next, at another New Year's beginning it may be the moment to return to messages of our Lord from the early 1970s when countless good Catholics were starting to suffer seriously from the confusion and distress following on the imposition upon them of the new religion of the Second Vatican Council, which had just come to an end in 1965. One such victim of Vatican II was Fr. Albert Drexel, 1889 to 1977, a prestigious professor of philology from the Vorarlberg in Austria but also a devout Catholic priest, to whom from 1922 our Lord appeared with a message on every first Friday of the month, to guide his devotion. However, only from 1970 were the messages written down, to be gathered together until his death, after which they were published in a little book still available today, entitled Faith is Greater Than Obedience. No Catholic is obliged to believe that these are words of our Lord himself, but the First Friday messages from 1970 to 1977 are their own validation for many sheep that recognize in them the Master's voice. Here for instance is the message of March 5, 1976, from which the words above are taken, just when the faith of the true church and obedience to the false church were coming into sharpest conflict. The future looks dark for you. Your interior struggle for true perception and the way to take in the confusion is known to me. And so I shall enlighten you. My faithful son Marcel, Archbishop Lefebvre, who suffers a great deal for the faith, is going on the right path. He is like a light and pillar of truth, which many ordained priests of mine are betraying. Faith is greater than obedience. Therefore it is my will that the work of theological education for priests continues in the spirit and will of my son Marcel, for the salvation and great help of my one and true church. The spirit of the world has infiltrated the church, and the Spirit of God has abandoned many hearts who were called to proclaim His Spirit. They talk about other things and lose themselves in the tricks and snares of Satan. And thus they corrupt the people and even the children. This spirit has penetrated the ecclesiastics and monasteries and convents, because the monks and nuns have lost and deserted the spirit of the founders of their orders. They have become a scandal for the people and the world. They have lost not only love towards my most holy mother, but also reverence towards my sacramental presence. Instead the monks preach about things of the world, of luxury, of a life of pleasure, and the nuns do not talk about the holy angels, and many not even about the Most Holy Virgin and Mother Mary. Still, places do exist of quiet and of prayer, special shrines in which Mary, my mother, and the Mother of Grace, is honored. Perhaps this message of 1976 is a little dated, insofar as the difference between the fruits of Vatican II and those of Archbishop Lefebvre have had time to make clear to many souls where the true Spirit of God is to be found. Today in fact the Archbishop is bearing more and more fruit outside of the limits of the society he founded. Nevertheless, God's true church is still being torn to pieces by the modernist wolves in sheep's clothing, and many souls are still being tempted to abandon the true faith and the true church. Let them heed one of many extracts from the messages to Fr. Drexel, e.g. from New Year's Day, 1971. A darkness hangs over my holy church. The confusion is growing, more and more priests become unfaithful to their mission and grace. But while the fruit of the wicked and godless ends in corruption, the fruit of the faithful souls shall blossom into a purer and more beautiful church. Hail to those who understand the hour and remain in my love, confess my mother, follow the path of the saints, and who confide in the guidance of the angels. These faithful souls shall shine in the darkness, shall not waver under attack and shall not crumble amidst trials. Kyrie eleison.